Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my channel? Thank you so much. I've been urging you all morning. Why are you only just here? Chloe looked at the two of them with a wrong expression, her eyes red as if she had just been crying. Damon hated seeing her cry the most, so he hurriedly held the cake and coaxed her. How could I forget? I didn't attend the wedding just to celebrate your birthday. We had to send off the guests and postpone the banquet. After finishing that, we came straight here, didn't we? Chloe playfully stuck out her tongue and pouted. I think you just don't care about me at all. You knew it was my birthday today, yet you scheduled the wedding on the same day. If you dare not stay with me, I'll go study abroad and you'll never see me again. Then she proudly took the cake, looked it over, and grumbled in complaint. Why is it all strawberries? Ethan spoke with some guilt. It was my oversight. I always remember you loved strawberries when you were little. All right. I reluctantly forgive you both. Both of them breathed a sigh of relief at these words, as long as Chloe was cheered up. Meanwhile, I had already been waiting in the room for the entire afternoon. I looked at the caption Chloe posted on her moments. My two big loyal dogs running away from their weddings to celebrate my birthday with me. Below was a 9-grid photo of the three of them, smiling brightly. I had anticipated this outcome the moment I realized today was Chloe's birthday, but seeing the reality, I still couldn't help but feel upset. I took out my phone and called Damien for the 22nd time. This time, the call finally went through, but what came through was his voice full of impatience. Why are you calling so many times? Don't you know I'm busy? My heart ached, and tears flowed uncontrollably. Busy with what? Busy celebrating someone else's birthday? Damn irritably cursed. Are you in such a hurry to get married? Will you die if it's a day later? Don't you even know that today is Chloe's birthday? Why did you set the wedding date for today? This date was clearly set by his family, but Damien pushed the blame onto me. Whenever something goes wrong, Damon always blames me, and because of my feelings for him, I always willingly admit my mistakes. Damien was already used to me accommodating him in everything, so this time he postponed our wedding just to celebrate Chloe's birthday. He also thought I wouldn't make a fuss over this matter. Damien held the phone, waiting for my apology, and had even planned how to mock me after I apologized. But after waiting a long time without hearing my voice, he first felt a pang of anxiety, then became somewhat angrily embarrassed. I think you just want to compete with Chloe. Since we were kids, you've always tried to compare yourself to her. But look at yourself. How do you measure up to her? Hearing this, the coldness in my heart grew even more numb. I took a deep breath and said word by word, "You're right. I really can't compare to her. Since you look down on me like this, there's no need for us to get married." There was a deathly silence. Silence on the other end of the phone, and after a long pause, Damon's voice erupted through clenched teeth. I think I've spoiled you too much. I'm telling you, if we don't get married this time, you'll never marry me in this lifetime. I had never disobeyed any of his orders. All along, I had been the little tail following behind him, the sticky candy clinging to him. It could be said that my love for him surpassed everything. All of his friends thought that unless I died, I would definitely cling to Damon forever and never let go. Damon himself thought the same. He found me annoying, yet he enjoyed my pursuit and infatuation with him. So this time, when I actually said I wouldn't marry him, it caused a huge sense of disappointment in his heart. After hearing his words, my original intention to leave him became even more resolute. Unlike usual, when I heard he wouldn't marry me, I didn't immediately panic and admit fault. Instead, I just responded with a faint H. Damon's phone was on speaker, and quite a few of his friends had come to Chloe's birthday party. Everyone squinted and teased Damon. Evelyn is just sulking with you. Who doesn't know how much she cares about you? She's just jealous and wants you to bow your head. After hearing this, Damon felt much more at ease, then raised an eyebrow disdainfully and said, "Me coaxer? Dream on." After he said this, a burst of laughter erupted around him. I said nothing, hung up the phone directly, and casually added him to the blacklist. Originally, I thought I would be sad if I gave up Damon, but strangely, my heart found an unprecedented peace. In 7 years, I lost myself and my dignity, but now I truly understand that giving up can be happier than having. I took out my phone and sent Julian a message. I agree to the marriage agreement, and I will arrive in city beyond time next month. The typing symbol on the other side blinked for a long time, and finally, only one word was replied, okay. As for why it is next month, it's because I still have many things that haven't been settled. My family was originally a prestigious and noble household, but because my parents had an accident, they left behind my younger brother and me, two children with a huge inheritance, who were nothing more than easy prey. My brother and I were taken in by our uncle's family, and we endured countless hardships along the way. The two of us depended on each other and took care of one another to make it to adulthood and obtain the inheritance rights. It was also on the day of my coming-of-age ceremony that I met Damon. Damon and my brother Ethan are friends, so he also treats me like a little sister. I never experienced much warmth growing up, so suddenly having someone appear, giving me beautiful gifts, and taking me to places I had never been before was a new experience. Although these favors were probably given out of respect for my brother, I still hopelessly fell for him. Chloe is Damon's childhood friend. They grew up together and have a very close relationship. No matter when there's a choice to be made between us, I'm always the one who gets left behind. At first, my brother felt sorry for me and advised me not to like Damien and to leave him early. But I don't know when he started liking Chloe, and for some reason, he suddenly began to strongly push for me and Damien to be together. I know my brother was afraid that Chloe would choose Damien and not him. Originally, after deciding to marry Damien, I planned to give all the shares under my name to my brother. My family was never as well off as Chloe's, so I thought if I could give my brother more money, he would have more confidence. And now, I let out a light laugh. I won't give him even a fraction of what belongs to me. Just as I was destroying the unsigned share transfer documents, my brother Ethan called. His tone was as calm as ever, but I detected a hint of guilt beneath it. Evelyn, don't argue with Damien. That's just his temper. The wedding will be the same no matter when it's held. I postponed your wedding to next week. I chuckled upon hearing this. Postpone to next week and then cancel the wedding because of Chloe and make endless concessions for her, right? Ethan's tone suddenly grew colder when he heard my words. What does this have to do with Chloe? Evelyn, you really are getting more and more immature as you grow up. I'm telling you, you should go apologize to Damien as soon as possible. You know how important this wedding is to our family. Don't be so willful. Willful? I almost doubted my own ears for hearing such a word. I scoffed. Today you dismissed all the guests to celebrate Chloe's birthday, changed the wedding date without the elders' consent, and now you actually have the nerve to say I'm willful? Brother, your ability to twist facts is really getting stronger. Ethan's face darkened at my words, and after choking for a long time, he finally said, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Then he hung up the phone. I took the opportunity to add his number to the blacklist as well. Then I continued organizing the company's financial records and my share of the inheritance. I sent the prepared documents to the lawyer, and it would take about a week to complete the handover. I took out my suitcase and began packing my belongings. This villa is where Ethan and I live. He doesn't come back often, so most of the items here were bought by me. I was too lazy to hire a moving company, so I just packed some clothes, jewelry, and cosmetics symbolically. The safe by the bedside contained gifts from Damien and Ethan. I spotted a box hidden deep inside, took it out, and couldn't help but laugh aloud. This was the 20-year-old birthday gift Damien gave me, a 4-leaf clover necklace. At that time, I cherished it very much, wearing it every day and reluctant to take it off even when showering. Later, Chloe saw it and was very surprised, asking me why I wore a free gift from the bag. Then she shook the expensive, unique bag Damien gave her in front of me. This was from Damien. The free gift was just the necklace around your neck. I thought the necklace was too ugly, so I didn't want it. I didn't expect her eyes to sparkle with innocent malice. I was restless and embarrassed, not knowing what to do. When I got home, I took off the necklace. I originally wanted to throw it away, but after thinking it over, I put it in the safe instead. At that time, I probably didn't understand why I did it, but now I do. Even back then, I saw Damien's true colors clearly. The following years were just me deceiving myself. I dumped everything out of the cabinet, separated the gifts they gave me into two piles and stuffed them into two boxes. The gifts Damien gave were actually pitifully few, and in the following years, I didn't even receive any presents from him. Ethan, on the other hand, gave gifts every year, but looking at the three identical watches inside, I felt both mocked and amused. As I was thinking about this, my phone started dinging and buzzing. I opened it to see messages from my best friend, Zoe. She sent several voice messages, each about 60 seconds long. I only listened to a few sentences before I knew what had happened. Damien and my brother took Chloe on vacation. They bought a villa in Sonia and decorated it to look like a princess castle as a birthday gift for Chloe's 25th birthday. She also sent me a few photos showing countless dazzling fireworks sparkling in the sky above the sea. Damien and my brother stood on either side of Chloe, watching her with extremely gentle eyes. I couldn't say what I was feeling inside. I stared at the pile of junk on the ground for a long time before I barely managed to pull myself together. It's been 7 years, and I still haven't gotten used to this kind of comparison. Every time I think about it, I feel upset. For a long time, Zoe kept cursing those two people, and I swallowed the bitterness in my heart and replied to her, "Zoe, come to City B next month to be a bridesmaid." Zoe obviously didn't understand what I meant and sent 3 question marks right away. Then a video was sent over. "You're still going to have a wedding with Damien? I already told you, if you insist on marrying Damien, I won't be your bridesmaid. I don't want to personally send you into the mud." I shook my head. "It's not Damien." The person on the other end of the video call froze for a few seconds, then let out a piercing scream. "Not Damien? Then who? You haven't been so upset that you're just going to marry any man, have you?" Her appearance made me laugh and cry at the same time. "The one I'm going to marry is Julian." Zoe was completely thrown off, and it took her a long time to gather her words. "Are you talking about the Julian I know?" I nodded, then watched as a look of wild joy appeared on her face. "Sis, you're amazing. Don't worry, I'm definitely taking the role of bridesmaid." We chatted a bit more before hanging up. The phone screen was still on those few photos, and my eyes felt a little teary. I called the courier and sent all the things Damien gave me to his house. For the things Ethan gave me, I left them intact in his bedroom. Time passed quickly, and a lawyer handed me the proof of the divided property in shares. I took photos of the items and sent them to Ethan. "This is divided according to Mom and Dad's will. When you have time, transfer the money to my account." After sending this message, I blocked and deleted him on WeChat. Ethan, who was far away in Sonia, felt a twitch between his brows after receiving this WeChat message. He didn't quite understand why I suddenly wanted to separate, and after pressing the dial button, the receiver played a message. "The number you have dialed is not in service." My previously calm heart suddenly became unsettled. No matter how angry I was before, I would never have blocked him. Damon looked at Ethan, whose face suddenly turned pale with some confusion. "What's wrong? Have you been in contact with Evelyn recently?" At the mention of this, Damon's expression turned cold, and he snorted in displeasure. "Why should I contact her? If it were before, Evelyn would have called me long ago, but this time she hasn't sent me a message for so long. Obviously, I've spoiled her too much, and she's even playing hard to get with me. This time, I have to leave her hanging for a while. Evelyn blocked me. I'll use your phone to call her," Damon said indifferently as he handed the phone to Ethan. "If you ask me, it's because you spoiled her too much that she doesn't know her place. Every time there was a conflict before, Evelyn was the one who gave in. You might as well wait a few more days. When she can't hold back anymore, she'll naturally contact us." Ethan said nothing. He found my number and dialed it. The familiar voice sounded again. "The number you have dialed is out of service." After hearing this, Damon stood frozen in place, only reacting after a few seconds. Just as the two were at a loss, they both received calls from their assistants simultaneously. After hearing the content of the call, Damon smashed his phone against the tree. Chloe, who had been hiding nearby and eavesdropping, screamed in fright, but Damon didn't even glance at her. Ethan, with a dark face, gritted his teeth and said, "Return to the country immediately. My own younger sister is getting married, and as her only close relative, I only found out the news the day before the wedding. Damon was in an even worse state. His narrow eyes were narrowed, and his clenched fists trembled uncontrollably. She actually dared to marry someone else. He kept repeating this sentence, his whole body radiating hostility. Chloe only caught the gist, and with a slight glance in her eyes, she smiled at Damon and said, "Don't be anxious. Sister Evelyn is definitely trying to annoy you." Damon's mind was in chaos now, and hearing this only fueled his anger. He gave Chloe a cold glance, which made her feel a chill in her heart. Ethan was also very irritated at this moment, completely ignoring Chloe. I didn't care at all about what was happening over there. By this time, I just arrived in City B. I originally thought the Goof family would send an assistant to pick me up at the airport, so when I saw the tall and elegant Julian, I was stunned. For a few seconds, he was dressed in a very formal suit, but it didn't make him look stiff at all. Instead, he exuded a special kind of charm. Those slightly upturned phoenix eyes seemed to be filled with dazzling stars. He wore a perfectly measured smile on his face as he took the suitcase from my hand. "Miss Evelyn, hello." Julian's voice was deep, with a hint of magnetism, like a small hook constantly tugging at my heart. I felt my face flush, and it took me a long time to regain my composure. Since I was young, I've had a thing for looks. A big part of why I liked Damien back then was because he had a face worth showing off. But now that I've met Julian, I finally understand what it means to have someone better and even greater beyond that. I harshly despised myself for judging by appearances, then couldn't help but smile with my eyes curved. "Hello, Mr. Julian." Julian felt a bit uncomfortable under my gaze, but he still gentlemanly opened the passenger door for me. Strictly speaking, this was the second time Julian and I had met because my mother and Julian's mother were college classmates and very close. However, since they married different men in different places, opportunities to meet were rare. While I was 5 years old, Julian's mother brought him to H-City for business. He was a bit older than me and was very calm and reserved at that time. My mother liked Julian very much and even joked about marrying me off to him. But because my mother passed away early and my family fell into decline, we never saw each other again. The reason this old matter has come up again now is entirely because the elderly patriarch of the Goof family is nearing the end of his life and hopes to see his grandson settled. Julian is currently at a critical moment in the battle for the family inheritance, so it's absolutely impossible for him to marry casually. So he thought of a marriage of convenience, signing a contract for just 1 year, and after the old grandfather passes away, he would divorce the other party. However, after searching for a long time in City B, almost no noble family was willing to let their daughter do this. When Julian's mother contacted me, I was still in the joy of Damien agreeing to marry me, so I refused them without hesitation. Julian wasn't angry. He just said to give me a month to think it over. At the time, I thought that at worst, I could just tell him after a month that I wouldn't marry him. But I didn't expect things to develop like this. Two strangers staying in a confined space would inevitably feel a bit awkward. I could only play to my strengths and awkwardly make small talk to fill the silence. "How old are you this year?" After asking this, I immediately wanted to punch myself. What a stupid question to ask. Julian didn't react much and still answered me seriously. 28. "How about you?" I gave an awkward. Ward laughed. 3 years younger than you. Once the conversation started, the atmosphere between us wasn't as awkward as before. Julian is a very reserved person and knows well how to gauge the boundaries in interpersonal relationships. He didn't ask me why I canceled the wedding with Damien, nor did he ask why I didn't tell Ethan about the marriage. He just told me the schedule for tomorrow's wedding. I listened attentively, and unknowingly, his calmness affected me, gradually calming my originally flustered heart. When we arrived at his villa, various types of wedding dresses were displayed on racks on the floor. As soon as I entered, someone pulled me aside to take my measurements. I was busy the whole afternoon, barely managing to finalize the styling, wedding dress, and the toasting outfit. I was so exhausted that I collapsed on the sofa, not wanting to move. Julian placed a cup of warm milk on the table. "Drink this, get some rest early. I'll wake you up tomorrow." I mumbled a vague and and before I could even thank him, my eyelids grew heavy and I fell asleep. In the second before I lost consciousness, I seemed to hear a light laugh. The next morning, I was not woken up by Julian, but by Zoe shouting. She sat at the head of my bed, shaking my shoulder excitedly. Wake up, wake up! I took 3 flights to rush back from Country Y, all just to redeem myself in front of Damien today. If anyone holds the most resentment towards Damien, it has to be Zoe. She has been trying to break us up since high school, and during that time, because of my infatuation with Damien, she and I have argued countless times. I was even mocked and ridiculed by Damien because of it. Now that I have married someone else, I suppose it has given her a sense of vindication. I groggily got up, and she fussed over me while helping me wash up. The costume designer and stylist came in to do the makeup and dressing, and Zoe sat nearby, supervising like an overseer. When I finished getting ready, she nodded with satisfaction. Not bad, not bad. My sister is naturally beautiful, and with a little dressing up, she's even more stunning. She wasn't exaggerating. I inherited my mother's looks and have been praised as a beauty since I was a child. Now that I think about it, if it weren't for this pretty face of mine, Damien wouldn't have been entangled with me for so many years and ultimately chosen to marry me. Now Damien regrets it. Hearing this, I looked at her full of suspicion. You told Damien about my marriage? Zoe's smiling face stiffened for a moment, then she coyly pulled my hand. I just let slip a tiny bit of news. The tiny bit she mentioned was totally untrustworthy. I took out my phone and opened Weibo. Then my eyes landed on a trending topic marked as blazing hot. The heir of the Gu family is getting married, and the bride is actually her. I didn't want to click on it anymore. Zoe, afraid I would get angry, cautiously said, I just asked the company to help buy a trending topic. Who would have thought those people actually bought it? The headline. I looked at her and couldn't bring myself to be angry at all. Zoe has suffered many grievances following me all these years, and now that she finally has a chance to vent, I couldn't bear to scold her. It's okay. There will be plenty of pictures at the scene later. I allow you to post them all. Zoe got excited as soon as she heard this and hugged me, tried to rub her face against mine. The makeup artist next to us was almost scared to death and hurriedly pulled her away. When everything was almost tidied up, Julian knocked on my door. I opened the door, and the first thing I saw was a face so handsome it was almost godlike. I swallowed nervously in embarrassment. Zoe was frantically patting my leg on one side. Sister, you finally get to eat something good. Julian was wearing a white tailcoat embroidered with intricate patterns, like a noble duke straight out of the Middle Ages. I placed my hand in his palm and heard him chuckle. Miss Evelyn is very nervous. I almost immediately retorted, I'm not nervous. He hooked my palm with his index finger, leaned close to my ear, and said, It's okay, I'm here. I weakly felt my legs go soft. I reasonably suspected this person was trying to seduce me. And just like that, I was led to the banquet venue. As soon as I entered the venue, countless flashes and the clicking sounds of cameras greeted me, making me feel somewhat uneasy. Julian wrapped his arm around my waist and whispered, Don't be afraid. It will be over soon. His calm tone gave me a great sense of security. The two of us walked onto the stage, listening to the host speaking beside us. When it was time to exchange rings, the noisy crowd quieted down. I seemed to hear the sound of my own heartbeat. He wore a faint smile on his face and, with an extremely reverent posture, placed the ring on my finger. But before I could say, I do, the banquet hall door was slammed open with a loud bang. Damien looked like a wounded wild wolf, exuding a gloomy aura all over. Evelyn, did you get my permission before getting married? He strode forward, pushing aside the people below, ran onto the stage, and grabbed my hand. Come with me. Damien's face looked very unpleasant, as if he was certain I would leave with him, not even giving a glance to Julian standing beside him. But I didn't move at all, coldly breaking free from his grip. Sensing my resistance, shock flashed in Damien's eyes. His brows furrowed as he looked at me. Evelyn, what do you mean? I looked at him with that same aloof attitude, feeling my breath quicken slightly, not because of sadness, but because of anger. I calmly looked at him and said, word by word, Damien, I really don't understand what exactly you want to do. You postponed our wedding just to celebrate someone else's birthday, and now you're putting on this act. Who are you trying to show it to? I was too stupid and foolish back then, but now I'm clear-headed. I don't want to continue with you, and it's impossible for me to be with you. Do you understand? However, this good life didn't last long before Damien came to spoil the mood again. He went back to H-City and received the box I sent him. After going through the things in the box, he slapped himself hard twice. Then, like a madman, he ran to B-City and found where I live. Now he stood downstairs all day and night, motionless like a statue. But when a person truly makes up their mind, they really won't look back until Damien fainted and was taken to the hospital by ambulance. I didn't go down to see him even once. Ethan, on the other hand, was obviously much more straightforward. Not only did he transfer the shares that belonged to me into my name, but he also gave me all the real estate that Mom and Dad left behind. The consequence of this was that he completely lost Chloe. I didn't feel much inside. People have to pay the price for the mistakes they make. Damien was still restless after entering the hospital, refusing to eat or receive visitors. No matter who came to visit, he would only say one sentence: "I want to see Evelyn." During this time, I received no fewer than 30 calls, including some from Damien's parents. I simply used the excuse that my husband, whom I was already married to, did not agree and politely declined them all. Only now did Damien truly realize the fact that I would never go back. After Julian was busy for a few months, he finally seemed to have some free time, and I could see him almost every week. We didn't bother each other. I watched dramas while he sat in the living room with his laptop handling work. We ate all 3 meals together every day, and surprisingly, our tastes were remarkably similar. Half a year passed like this, and my relationship with Julian grew better and better. Subconsciously, I regarded him as a good friend. No matter what happens, I always vent to him about it, and when he's free on weekends, he accompanies me shopping. I get all the news about Damien from Zoe. She said Damien's father brought back an illegitimate son who was 2 years older than him to fight over the family inheritance. He fought the illegitimate son until he was covered in wounds, but still couldn't beat him. That person is very resourceful. He even hooked up with Chloe, and the two have set their wedding for the end of the year. Since Damien divorced me, he's been on a downward spiral and is now almost at rock bottom. As for Ethan, things are even worse. The company lost a lot of money due to poor management, and his beloved is about to marry someone else. He is now borrowing money from everyone and is on the verge of insolvency. I'm not too concerned about Damien, but Ethan is my brother after all. Blood is thicker than water, so I can't completely ignore him. Besides, this company was left to me by my parents, and I don't want to see it go bankrupt. I told Julian about this, and he helped by investing funds, saving the company. Then I received a message from Ethan sent from another phone number. It was very long, so long that I didn't have the patience to keep reading. He realized his mistake and hoped to make it up to me, begging me to forgive him. I only replied with one sentence: "Take good care of Mom and Dad's inheritance." Other than that, I didn't want to have any further contact with him. After some time passed, just as the agreement was about to expire, Julian suddenly went back on his word. He first asked to extend the agreement period and later wanted to break the contract. Honestly, I never expected the phrase "break the contract" to come out of Julian's usually dignified and noble mouth. "Don't you want to give me money? Then fine, I won't take any money." Okay, Julian's handsome face actually flushed a bit when he heard my words. "It's not about the money." I was a bit stunned. If it's not about the money, then what could it be? I looked at him in shock. "You don't still want me to give you money, do you? That wouldn't be right." Julian was originally a bit embarrassed, but after hearing my series of remarks, his flushed face quickly returned to its normal color. There was even a hint of speechlessness on top of that. Is this the sorrow of dealing with a straight woman? Julian seemed to understand that if he didn't say it directly, I might have started thinking in a more twisted way. So he stared at me with burning eyes and said word by word, "Evelyn, I want to be with you." With marriage as the premise, my brain shut down for a few seconds, and then I instinctively wanted to refuse. But this face in front of me was just too handsome, and I was somewhat reluctant. Actually, it's not that I can't give it a try. After all, it's really rare to find someone as good-looking as Julian. So the refusal was left unspoken, replaced by a simple H. Then I saw that usually stern person break into an exceptionally bright smile. It dazzled me so much that my eyes went wide. He directly pulled me into his arms, and I clearly felt my shoulder getting wet as if soaked by water. Of course, the villa wasn't leaking, so it was Julian who was crying. As soon as this idea came up, I dare not move anymore and could only reach out to pat his back. Unexpectedly, he seemed to have misunderstood something. He moved and let go of me, then suddenly kissed me. The following details are hard to describe, but in short, we officially became a couple. No one would have thought that there are people who only start dating after getting married. After being with Julian, I finally understood what it feels like to be loved. He remembers all our anniversaries, and on my birthday, I receive all kinds of gifts. The dining table is always set with the foods I love to eat. When I frown, I get care. When I shed tears, someone feels even sadder than I do. I even learned that I am the first person Julian ever fell in love with. There are no messy exes or first loves. I am the most important person in his heart. And so we continued on, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, until our children had children of their own. Julian remained the same with me as ever, without the slightest change. I deeply understood a truth. You need to find someone who is inherently good, not just someone who is good to you. The only time Julian ever lied to me in this life was when he promised to die after me, but left my side a step too soon. There was reluctance shining in his eyes, but his words were still comforting. He said he was leaving first to go set up our new home on the other side, so that when I came down, I could move in comfortably. I smiled and nodded, watching him gradually fall silent, and only then did the tears start flowing uncontrollably. The children were all afraid I would be too heartbroken, but I acted very normally. I happily traveled and vacationed, enjoying the rest of my life just like when Julian was here. Because I know if Julian were still here, he would never want to see me crying all day long. Throughout his life, he wanted me to be carefree and happy, so of course, I have to fulfill his wish. I lost track of how much time had passed. My health was deteriorating, and I often couldn't see the road ahead clearly. It was a calm afternoon. I was lying in a rocking chair, covered with a blanket. In a daze, I seemed to see Julian in his youth, smiling and waving at me. Without hesitation, I stepped forward to follow him. My originally slow steps became light and quick. I looked down at myself and saw that I had returned to my former self. I happily threw myself into his arms, and he affectionately stroked my head. "Let's go. I'll take you to our new home."